How's it going, everyone? We're going to take a look at a game real quick using JunkPost. Um, Hopefully this works. Hopefully we don't get any interruptions because this did not save as a replay, so it will not be coming back to us. Anyways, so this was opening hand. Obviously not going to keep a one-land hand. I'm going to have to go to 6. Um, Dropping to 6 is a mediocre hand. You can keep this. We are on the draw, but you will be able to, or you will be forced to hope that you get that second turn land. I do decide to, in fact, mulligan down to 5 and get this, and it's not a good hand. It's not a bad hand. Definitely going to be at a disadvantage, but at the very least, we're on the draw, and that could net us something. So, game on. Opponent plays mountain. That means he could be doing any kind of goblins. Red deck wins. Is it post? More mountains coming down. Still no play, so you're starting to think maybe Storm. If this was goblins or burn, they would have done something by now. Draw into an expedition map, and I could make that play here, but decide that instead I want to play the Wellspring instead, and would rather draw the cards. Now I have the opportunity on my next turn to not just play the map, but I'll be able to crack it as well. So more mountains and still no play. All that can tell me at this point in time is that perhaps my opponent is color screwed. Usually you would see a red deck making a play by now, but we're going to play the map anyways. And going to be able to crack it. Yep, see there his second color finally shows up. Going to be able to crack this and search out JunkPost. Want to get this mana ramp going as soon as possible. Being in blue and red, my opponent is very likely to be playing Is It Post as well, so definitely want to get that going. I'm going to be on the advantage by getting the first JunkPost into play because that means, if he plays one on his next turn, it's going to come in tapped, but I'm going to be the first one with an opportunity to use that mana because mine will be untapping. So put that into play tapped. With my 3 mana left, I use a Fierce Empath to get a Crusher. Kind of a nice thing that we have all 3 empaths in my hand. Gives us that opportunity to start searching things out. Clearly not going to be able to attack through the Seagate Oracle, but I'm definitely at a good place. I can start getting creatures in, especially these Crushers, and I have the opportunity, to search out another one. So if he wastes whatever answer he has to it right away on this one, I will be able to get out another. So, like I said, this is where I was talking about, because I made the first play on JunkPost, mine is the first to untap, and that means I have the first opportunity to use that mana. Not enough for Crusher yet, but I will be able to play a second Wellspring and draw into a map which I can use to get yet another JunkPost. Because my opponent is playing Is It Post, I decided that it is best to build up my mana as soon as possible. I really don't have to worry about the life gain from JunkPost. I can just take that as it comes. It's not a fast strategy, so I don't really need to aggressively search out JunkPosts. But we do get that mana. We do have now each of these tapping for 4. I have a lot of plays in my hand, but what I'm going to do is play the Crusher first. I want to get rid of whatever answers my opponent has. It's a card that I have in my hand that he is aware of. I really just, I want to get that out there as soon as possible, because if he didn't, if he had a condescend there, then fine, I would be able to use this Fierce Empath to search out a new one. If he didn't have answers to it, then it puts me at a fast advantage instead of waiting until there's a better time. I have another empath still in hand, so I'm going to be able to still search that out. I do use this one actually, though. Instead of grabbing yet another Crusher, I decided that I wanted to get a Marauder. I have 2 Wellsprings on the table, and getting this going will help put me beyond range of Rolling Thunder. Now, I did just say that searching JunkPosts aggressively is not where I want to be with this matchup, and that's true. Getting the life gain is not critical. However, having it is not going to hurt. So when it comes to the options between my land base, I'm going to search out the JunkPosts first. I want heavy mana. But when it comes to the creature base, if I can get a little extra life gain, then I'm happy to do so. So you see here my opponent plays another JunkPost and uses a Rolling Thunder to completely clear off my board, both empaths plus the Crusher. Which definitely sucks big time, but I have the opportunity, because of so much mana off these JunkPosts, that I'm going to be able to use a Fierce Empath to grab another one whenever I want. We're at a point in time where each of these are going to tap for 5. Did draw into another Glimmer Post here, but I'm going to take this opportunity to use my Reap and Sow, get rid of the Cloud Post. It's definitely the first thing you want to go for in any any match against the Post. You want to get rid of those because they are the mana engine. And it's not going to hurt me too bad because I'm still, getting the extra mana off these Glimmer Posts. So I can make that play and still have the mana available to not only cast the Fangren Marauder, but also get my Fierce Empath into play as well, and search up my Crusher. The Marauder is something, especially now that he knows that I have a Crusher, to me that says that he's going to want to save whatever answers he has for that, and the Marauder is going to kind of get ignored, and it may be able to attack through for a couple swings before, it dies. Now, as you see, it is not always the case. He does actually have answers with the Lightning Bolt and Flame Slash, and all that is going to tell me is that in these 3 cards in his hand, he thinks he still has an answer to Crusher, because between the Marauder and the Crusher is going to be the bigger threat. So if he is wasting spells or using spells to get rid of the Marauder, he's still going to have an answer for the Crusher. If you only had one answer in your hand for one big creature, then the first thing you're going to go for is the Crusher and not the Marauder. So I play the Mold Shambler. I do have plenty of mana to be able to cast that as well as the Crusher, and I use that to get rid of his new Post land. Now there's no real point in bluffing. I like to, if you're a fan of my videos, my articles, I like to hold cards and kind of bluff my hand, but this deck really doesn't have anything to bluff with, so by keeping that land in my hand, all I'm doing is keeping a land in hand. I feel it's much more important to make that drop and, be able to have that extra land on the field if I top deck into a Rolling Thunder. You never know what's going to happen with that, so you want to kind of get that mana base built as fast as possible. So the answer comes. It's Capsize. I can't say I was terribly surprised about that. It is definitely one of the most broken cards, even though it is only run as a singleton in the Izzet Post deck. But it does turn out that he is going to be able to bounce my Crusher every turn for a while, but because I have these Cloud Posts, it takes nothing for me to be able to not only replay it, but be able to play whatever I draw as well. So, it's going to occupy 6 of his mana every turn. As long as he's not getting the Cloud Post, it's going to be a substantial cost. He's not going to be able to cast multiple Capsizes with buyback. So I'm going to just take it as is. I'm going to, like I said, play my Crusher on every turn after he bounces it, and whatever else I draw. I'm going to attack through with my Shambler because he's only got the Oracle, can stop 3, but he's so far ahead in life he's not going to block it at any point. And you see off my Prism last turn I did draw into a Rolling Thunder, so now I'm kind of focused on getting a second red source of mana. I do have the Prism, which will give me the first red mana, but I do need the second one to be able to try and pull this off. Also going to need a bit of a heavier mana base to do 30 damage. So happy to see Reap and Sow. Like I said, I have more than enough mana to be able to cast multiples. I do cast the Reap and Sow targeting an island. I figure if I get a little lucky on my land destruction and get rid of 2 islands, then he would not be able to play his Capsize. Unfortunately, a negate comes down and that plan gets a little bit foiled, but that's alright. We're going to just keep, swinging through with the Shambler and trying to hold out for that red mana source. There goes the Capsize on the Crusher, as expected. Finally find that second mana source in Evolving Wilds. I can't use it quite yet this turn, but I will get that red mana on the field at the very least. We do, this is Izzet Post, so there are some counter spells. You do have to watch out for the fact, what he has available to him as far as untapped mana is concerned. He is, you see here he tapped out for Prism. He is going to tap 6 to bounce the Crusher. And he's down to 1 mana available. He can make it blue, but because it's only 1 mana, it means his only option for counterspell here is going to be Force Spike, and I should have more than enough mana to deal with that. Now I'm going to go for the win on this one here, or I should have, let me correct that, going for the win on this one here. I did decide to use the Rebirth instead to draw cards. This is a bit of misplay. I do get the draw, so I had an opportunity to top deck into a second red mana source, but I've essentially tapped my 1 of 2, and I'm going to have to make this play instead. Now, had I not done that, I would have had the math available, the numbers available to cast Rolling Thunder for the win, but because I accidentally well, not accidentally, I did it on purpose, but it was the wrong move. Because I sacrificed that instead, I'm going to have to cast 4 mana to spend Reap and Sow, and then use that to find a mountain in order to get that second red I need for the win. You'll see here my math was off. I tapped out to do 24 to my opponent, and realized that I am going to be 1 mana short, so I have to cancel that and start over and do 3 to my opponent. This is still a pretty good place to be in because he only has 1 blocker on the field, and he's going to need to, in order to win this game, get rid of 4 creatures. So, I know there's a Capsize in hand. He's going to be able to at least block 1, and if he capsizes another, that still leaves him with 2. He has 4 cards in hand, so it's not a terrible thing. He is a little bit short on mana, so he would have to probably cast Capsize as a single-use spell. It's really going to come down to whether, these cards in his hand gave him enough answers. He would need 3 answers for these 3 goblins, because like I said, he has the Oracle to block, and he's going to need some burn, something to get rid of these. Out of the 3 cards, I knew he had Capsize being the only one available to him, and you just gotta hope at that point in time. If he had an answer, that would have sucked. I probably still would have been okay to win this one with him down to 1 life, but it's definitely not a situation you want to be putting yourself in, so definitely make sure you do the math before you cast wrong card, Rolling Thunder there. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. Math not my strong suit, and if you take anything from this game, posts are overpowered, and math is definitely for the win. Yep.